go into the next topic, but about your film stuff, because you did a short film called B that came out I guess a few months ago now. Was it August?
A year ago. I filmed it just over a year ago.
So that was, I saw August 13th, but was that 2022?
That might have been when I officially released it on the
release.
YouTube.
Okay. But yeah, so you filmed it before you even moved here, right?
Yeah,
okay.
So I filmed it out in Utah. I filmed it before I got laid off from my job, but I knew I was about to.
Yeah.
And so my job out there, they owned a psych wall, a studio with a psych wall, which is just that white backdrop that you see in a lot of advertisements. But we had a ton of lights and stuff set up for it, so
you got to borrow that stuff.
Yeah, I knew I was about to get laid off, but I was like, but until then, I can still use all this stuff.
Oh yeah, that's good.
So, and Kenna, who is my other actor in or she played, my wife
Petunia.
in Petunia. She is an actor in Utah as well. She is she's SAG qualified right now. I think she was waiting for the strike to end.
Yeah.
So she can be SAG soon. I think she just has to do.
What does that mean?
Screen Actors Guild.
Screen Actors Guild.
Oh,
the
okay,
union.
So SAG qualified means she's done enough work in SAG certified movies. And then I can't remember the details, but she's close to being a SAG certified actress.
So she's still in Utah acting?
She's still in Utah, but I believe she does go out to LA for stuff every now and then. But she does a lot of advertisements. That's what a lot of Utah's filmmaking is advertising. So from the ad agency I worked for out there, that's how I met Kenna. Told her this idea of this film. She was all in. Again, from the ad agency I worked with, I had this great director of photography named Alan Baird.
Yeah, so I wanted to say that it's shot very nicely.
Alan
it's
is
amazing.
This kid's a wonderkind, man. I'm not even sure if he's 21 yet, so he can't even drink yet, but he might be now. I don't know. He's got his own stuff called Unirealm Productions that you can look up, which is really great. But yeah, I met him from work.
Yeah.
Spencer, who was my producer, another person from work, and then Dixie, who did all the set design for the craft store strip club. She also I worked with at Chamber Media. The only person I didn't work with at Chamber, I still met through Chamber, which is our makeup person. She just freelanced with them, and so because I was working with an ad agency and I knew all these people, I was able to do it for pretty cheap. I did that whole film for about $300, I think.
Whoa, that's really good.
Yeah. So I got that studio because I knew I wasn't laid off yet, and then I got laid off the following weekend. So like we barely got that one out in time.
Doing some reshoots in the garage or something.
Man, we would have been close. But yeah, it was so fun, man, and like
that's cool.
That project taught me how much easier it is to make a film than I had always thought.
Yeah.
You just gotta know. You just gotta reach out to the right people.
The teamwork. That's what I loved about film when I studied it, and I was like, it's such a collaborative effort. Like no one can do this stuff by themselves.
Exactly.
I mean, you could maybe, but it would. I don't know. It's just, you really shouldn't. You shouldn't try because it's so much that. I mean, especially a big film. I mean, there's just thousands of people that go into making like a Marvel studio film or something like that. I mean, absolutely impossible and it's such a community effort and so many people doing very specific things on set and
it's so fun.
Yeah,
it's so
fun.
Creative,
and so always you're like constantly having to problem solve and create and figure out how to do certain things. But the thing is, I got out of it learning more about the industry as a whole, especially in Hollywood, but even here it's like they're assholes, man. Like I that's not an industry that
Why you say that?
Because they treat their employees terribly. I mean, that's why everyone's striking because and it's dangerous, frankly. I mean, a woman, Alec Baldwin killed a woman. I mean, because of negligence and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's just so it's a dangerous craft to get into. I mean,
have you looked into the details of Rust too? Have you looked into the details of Rust?
I mean, I was following it.
An accident was going to happen.
Yeah,
it was so bad.
In my opinion, I think I know what happened was like they were off guys around in the desert shooting the guns with real bullets when they're off time. Didn't take the bullets out or whatever, and they didn't check it. So when
the crew also, they didn't have enough hotels on filming location for the crew, so the crew were actually staying like an hour and a half away from where the filming was. So the crew had to wake up an extra hour and a half and had an hour and a half less time when they got home.
Yeah.
Filming days are already long, especially for crew.
Yeah, on average, like what, 12 to 14 hours?
Yeah.
And then you go home, go to sleep for 4 hours, and come back and do it again.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous part.
And it's laborious. I mean, like, for acting is fun.
Yeah.
Acting is so fun. But, like...
But working on the lighting...
Being a crew and, like, just being... Even when you're one of the boom guys, you're just holding that up. That's your job. Is to just hold this up and aim it towards one of the actors for 12 to 14 hours a day. And the lights... I mean, the lights crew...
Yeah,
they work wonders. They make the movies. They are the silent heroes of any cinema. But the amount of work that goes in between each shot. I mean, being on set, if you're not one of the crew members, is boring.
Yeah, well, even for the crew, it's like, I mean, the way they talk about it is a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yes.
Because you have to rush, and then you're waiting for 4 hours for whatever it is for somebody else to do whatever they have to do. Yeah. And it's just like, and that to me was like, this sucks. I don't want to be on set for 14 hours a day. And
it takes a special kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It takes a special kind of crazy to be there.
So I dropped out of that, but I loved what I learned, and the stuff that I learned I'm going to think about for the rest of my life. I mean, as far as watching films, I love watching them and studying them in that way. And doing stuff like this, I learned so much about, you don't have to necessarily work on film sets to use those skills, like doing ads and things. So, I'm definitely interested in doing more of it. I just... the film industry is not, because I was like, I'm gonna go and work on movies. That's what I was interested in. And then I was like, man, maybe not.
Well, I like to do skits. I want to do little
sketch comedies are so fun.
Like doing short films and doing.
It said you wrote and directed. B. How do you start writing? How do you get your ideas?
Ironically, B started from a sketch that I wrote.
Oh, okay.
And I can show you guys the original. I was on a sketch comedy group back in Utah as well. How do you start writing? It's as simple as start writing. Like, it's...
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you take one of your jokes, maybe, and then kind of like...
So this one started off with a joke. I came home... I was visiting my mom's place, my parents' place in Utah, and it was the summertime... And my mom likes to put up a different wreath according to the month.
Oh, yeah.
On the door.
Season or whatever.
Yeah. My mom loves that kind of stuff.
Summer wreath.
So it was some kind of wreath with fake flowers on it. And I saw this bee sniffing up the fake flower.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if fake flowers are pornography for bees. Because you think about it, perfect, petals, they're all fake and plastic. Yeah. They're not the real thing.
Yeah,
but
right. That makes sense.
You get to, indulge yourself in fantasies.
It's like it never goes bad, it never gets old and
like women.
So I started doing a stand-up bit of that, and it was fun, but it was kind of hard to provide the context to really make it into a stand-up joke.
Yeah.
But that joke really lended itself to a sketch.
Right.
And so I wrote a sketch about it in the original one. We didn't actually go to the craft store, but it was just the bee and the flower fighting, and
it was just
talking about
locations, kind of thing.
What makes them unhappy, and all of that. So that's really where it came from. Was that kind of joke.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I never thought about. I mean, obviously, so many people like Seinfeld and Tim Allen and whatever. It's like they make TV shows based on their comedies. And like a lot of the premises are joke premises. But that's a great way to even start a short film or whatever it is that you want to, any comment.
Well, can we? Are we cool with spoiling it? Are we cool?
We can spoil it.
We'll link it. I mean,
it's really good.
Thank you.
From what I've seen, I mean, I like how it takes like a dramatic twist.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of silly in itself, which obviously delivers this almost heavy-handed kind of like
it's been hard for me to submit it to festivals because I keep trying to submit it under comedy.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of festivals are like, is it?
Yeah.
But then when you submit it under drama, people are like, what the fuck is this? So I keep submitting comedy because I know if I do, people will laugh where I want them to laugh.
Yeah.
Whereas if I submit drama, I think when the jokes come by, people will be like, is that supposed to be a joke? And they're like, yes. It's okay to laugh.
But that's what I liked about it too, is they had this almost like lighthearted. It was, like I said, it's a great vessel to deliver this idea of like, porn in a relationship, and then hearing where you took from comedy, and it is very funny because he's sitting there looking online at these
flowers,
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 just like and then she's still very upset about it, you know. And then in the end, I almost cried. Man, I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
I was like, what the she live for?
Yeah.
She quit way too easy. she wasn't the one, man. You're good.
That's funny because I take the flower side when I write.
Do you really?
Yeah, when I wrote it, I definitely took the flower side.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it was like, it was very. It's an interesting look at a relationship and very real emotions that people have, but it's just silly. I love the. I was watching it and I was thinking, like, it must have been so much fun to, like, come up with, like, all these weird, like, bee jokes and stuff where you could fit in, like, the replacement thing for whatever it is.
So yeah, I sent it to a lot of my comedy friends for punch-ups and stuff like that. But then, like, some, like, Buzzy was on the
Buzzies
day.
is a good one.
It was just, as me and Kenna, as Alan was setting up lights in the camera, Alan and Spencer, me and Kenna were just going over lines, and Kenna pretty much coached me. I wrote, directed, but like Kenna helped me so much. Oh, she is a much more professional than I am. That's why I wanted her. Anyways, so as we're going back and forth, at one of those takes, we said Buzzy. I can't even remember who did it, but it came up from reading the lines in between Buzzy. We're like, this is so much more fun to say Buzzy than Buddy.
The silly, stuff like that. I thought was so funny, and just little tiny details that you might not even catch.
The original line was just best friends. They're my best friends. And she's like, am I not your friend? But then it was just so much funnier as a bee to be like, they're my Buzzies. I can't be your Buzzies. It's like, I want to be your Buzzy.
That's what it made, like I said, it shaved the hard edge off of that moment.
Well, and I've always been a fan of like Taika Waititi. Who is really good at kind of juxtaposing comedy with drama. I love any movie that can balance those two really well. So Taika's kind of my more recent example. I know there's other people that I'm not giving proper credit for, like Mike Birbiglia. You know, his his stand-up specials really blend that line of one-man show with stand-up comedy. And so, like, my girlfriend's boyfriend and Sleepwalk With Me particularly, both have these very deep emotional points in their story where you kind of forget it's a comedy. And I love when you can do that, because I think when you can make people forget it's a comedy, when you bring a punchline back, it's that much funnier.
Really,
which I didn't do in B. I didn't really bring it. Ended on a low note.
I was like, is that it? Dang.
No, that's just.
But that's good.
That's me as a new writer, still learning this myself. You know.
And it's a short film. I mean, there's only so much you can do, anyway. So I mean, it kind of has to end at some point.
I almost think you could. I mean, I felt like, I want to see the next one. That's what it felt.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to see what happens.
Hopefully,
next.
you can.
Which is a good place to be.
Yeah. So. You know, and Petunia is finally going to see the world for the first time. I think that's the optimism of it. Is she was being held back by Jerry. Did you catch that his name was Jerry?
Jerry?
Yeah, the bee.
From
there's one small scene where you can see on the note she writes to him,
Jerry?
it says Jerry.
Well, I think I saw
is that
it in the
intended?
credits.
Oh, it's in the credits too. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's 100% a call to Jerry Seinfeld and B movie.